Sit that right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon' shake that, 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 shit, yeah, I like that, bring that right here, sit that right there, don't go nowhere, say yeah, I like that, bring that right here, sit that right there, don't go nowhere, baby gon'.
What up, YouTube? We back with another reaction video. Today we are reacting to Swamp Stories, Rap's Dumbest Criminal, how Philly top Goon caught bodies, beef with Meek, and told on himself. This is the story of A.R.Ab. He was actually kind of talented with the rapping. I don't know though. It's like all that stuff was kind of dark. So if he doesn't do the, well, I mean, he probably could have rapped about what was going on in the hood without actually being involved and still got money. I don't know. But the persona probably would have been different. But this man, it's like, if you want to start a class on self-incriminating, this is what you do. You watch. You watch A.R.Ab. Every interview. It was hilarious. But let's see what he got himself into.
Another episode of Swamp Stories. For this video, we cover a story that will probably blow your mind. It's the tale of a man who struck it rich out of the mud and managed to throw it all away in the strangest way possible. Trust me, this one is good. But before we get into it, let me run the intro. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a city that no one thinks of unless we're talking about cheesesteaks or football. All we know is that it's freezing cold, the people are extremely rude, and the sports teams always come up short. But in all seriousness, Philly's biggest problem is the out-of-control crime. Most American cities are bad in one category, but Philly sits near the bottom in every single one.
10 carjackings in just over 24 hours across the city.
Tonight, Philadelphia has set a new grim record for homicides in a single year. There have now been 501 homicides in the city.
3 days, at least 8 businesses hit, and police, they are on the hunt for the person responsible.
Large, unruly crowds took over this intersection right here behind me very early this morning. Those same crowds also quickly swarmed police who were on scene.
Yes, Philadelphia is a wild, wild place and has been for a long time. It's exponentially worse than New York City in every single category, but for whatever reason gets none of the attention. However, that ends today, as you'll be able to see the nonsense that takes place in the streets of Philly. So let's dive right in. The story begins in the trenches of North Philadelphia, specifically 75th Avenue. This is where a man named Barry Reese, also known as Cassidy, was born and raised. Cassidy grew up extremely rough and used rapping as his way to make it out of the hood. In the early 2000s, he performed at rap battles all over the East Coast until he was noticed by a young producer named Swiss Beats. Swiss saw potential in Cassidy and decided to sign him to a 3-album deal in 2002. Right off the bat, his career was a success with hit songs like Hotel and Get No Better. He was already performing at award shows and his debut album went gold in 2004. Cassidy was the man, but behind closed doors was living a street life in North Philadelphia. In a place like North Philly, a famous rapper could not operate alone. So in order to protect himself, Cassidy always rolled with a young goon that he grew up with. This would be one of his childhood best friends named Abdul West. Abdul was raised in a good 2-parent home that ate together, prayed together 5 times a day, and always made sure his homework was done. Because of this, Abdul was a good student and actually graduated high school at 16 with a trade in plumbing. Despite being on a good path, Abdul had a strange love for the streets that always caught his attention. Although home life was good, North Philly was always hectic and Abdul wanted to be a part of it. So when his homie Cassidy's career blew up, he volunteered to be his street enforcer. So in the streets of Philly, Cassidy was at the helm and by his side was Abdul, his brother Leek Moss, and another friend named Pretty Flock. Together, they were the guys in Philly. They had all the money and of course they had all of the girls as well. But with this kind of fame came a whole lot of envy. Many people they grew up with were jealous and were looking for any reason to try them. And that takes us to April 15th, 2005. It's a huge day for Cassidy as he's releasing his highly anticipated song I'm a Hustler. So of course he's in great spirits until he receives an alarming phone call from Abdul. Abdul tells him that Pretty Flock was jumped by a group of guys they grew up with. The story goes that they caught him out doing errands and they jumped him for absolutely zero reason. So directly after, Flock called Abdul and told him to pull up ASAP. From there, Abdul hopped in his car and called Cassidy to let him know that he might need to bail him out of jail. So Abdul drove to Pretty Flock, picked him up, and they went around looking for the group of guys. The story goes that Abdul caught one of the guys outside of Rite Aid and put his paws on him. From all accounts, Abdul handled him like Tyron Woodley or John Jones. And just like that, there was a potential beef stewing in the streets of Philly. But the guys who started this quickly came.
I hope it means prime Tyron Woodley and not the Tyron Woodley that got, beat up by Jake Paul. That'd be crazy.
To a realization. Do we really want to beef with Abdul West? Shh, probably not. So in order to prevent a beef, one of the guys calls Abdul and sees if they can make peace. At 6 p.m., a man named Desmond Hawkins calls Abdul's phone. He apologizes for what happened to Pretty Flock and he asks him if they can be cool. Abdul tells him to swing by Cassidy's house at 9 p.m. so they can talk it out. Desmond agrees and that's the plans for the night. So you're probably thinking, wow, Abdul is so mature and level-headed, but you'll see. Abdul drives to his house, grabs a blower, and heads over to Cassidy's. When he arrives, he gives him a rundown of the situation, and Cassidy thinks it's a good idea. But then Abdul tells him that he stashed a blower in the bushes next to his house, and that makes him skeptical. If they're coming over to make peace, why are you putting a blower in the bushes? It doesn't make any sense. But Abdul isn't the kind of guy you question, so Cassidy just leaves it alone. 9:30 p.m. Desmond Hawkins and his two friends arrive at Cassidy's house looking to make peace. When they arrive, Desmond honks his horn and Abdul walks outside. He walks up to Desmond's driver's side window and they begin having a conversation. Somehow it turns into an argument and Abdul walks over to the bushes. From there, he grabs his piece and allegedly makes a terrible decision.
Rest in peace.
Abdul and Cassidy instantly vacate the area and decide to go out of town. Sadly, Desmond didn't deserve this in a million years, but this was Philadelphia's introduction to Abdul West. Abdul ruined a potentially great day for Cassidy as I'm a Hustler was major on the charts. So at the height of his career, Cassidy was paranoid about the event that happened right outside of his house. He knew that even Philadelphia police would eventually figure it out and that it was a matter of time. That time would come, June 17th.
Okay. Now, nigga, why in the hell? That's what I'm saying. Why would you tell that nigga meet up at Cassidy crib, bruh? Cassidy wasn't broke. You was gonna take somebody's life where people get money at. Of course, police gonna be on your ass, even if it is Philly. Like, bruh, what?
2005. Philadelphia police announced that Cassidy and Abdul West are both wanted for the passing of Desmond Hawkins. This shocked the hip-hop world as Cassidy was becoming a major artist. He smartly turned himself in the same day and instantly his life came crashing down. The superstar rapper at the height of his career was now facing 25 to life. While on the other hand, Abdul would go on the run but would eventually be found 2 weeks later in Ohio.
Random.
Now we talk about the court cases, which are actually pretty interesting. This is because Cassidy and Abdul took two completely different routes on fighting them. The men in the car with Desmond told police that they didn't see Cassidy but instead saw Abdul do it. And the only reason Cassidy was arrested is because it happened in front of his house, so police thought that he called the shot. The prosecutors had a weak case against Cassidy, so he could have easily taken it to trial and beaten it in the end. However, trials can take years and Cassidy was eager to get back to his career, so he ended up pleading to involuntary manslaughter and taking an 11-month sentence. How this qualifies as involuntary manslaughter is beyond me, but he figured that it was his best option. This way, his music career was guaranteed to return in under a year. On the other hand, Abdul decided to take his case to trial and test his luck. This was extremely risky, especially as there was 2 eyewitnesses, but Abdul knew something that the rest of the world didn't, and that would be that the 2 eyewitnesses would not testify in his trial.
They're scared.
That's how feared he was in the streets. No one would dare testify against him in court. And because of this, he was able to beat his trial in 2007 and be released with 0 charges. So now Cassidy was a convicted felon and Abdul had no record. Of course, this isn't.
Cassidy should have chilled. Oh God, I know you ain't want to take it to trial, cause yeah, bro, the money would have slowed up, but like, bro, Abdul was really like that. Not to glorify it, but I'm just saying, like, niggas were scared.
Fair, but it also goes to show that you need to be careful who you hang around. It can ruin your career or possibly even end your life. Cassidy was lucky that it was only a year, but it still had some serious consequences. When Cassidy got home in 2006, his buzz just simply wasn't what it used to be. However, he still had a decent following and one album left with Swiss Beats. So on November 6, 2007, his final album under Swiss was released and it didn't do quite as well as expected. Because of this, he and Swiss went their separate ways and he started his own label called the Larceny Family in 2008. He funded it himself and of course made himself the main artist. But if you have a label, you probably need more than just yourself. Well, coincidentally, the start of Larceny Family was the same time that Ab came home, so Cassidy convinced him to become a rapper and to sign to his label. He promised him that he'd make him a star and that together they'd get to the millions. So Abdul agreed and signed on the dotted lines. His rap name would be AR Ab and the Larceny Family was off to the races. Or not. Cassidy underestimated the cost of starting a label and jump-starting a new career. And as a result, he prioritized his own career and AR Ab was kicked to the curb. During this process, Ab began getting frustrated and finally decided to go his separate ways. He felt like Cassidy got his hopes up for no reason and was wasting his time. Because of this, their relationship went sour and the former best friends were now at odds. Beef with Abdul was the last thing that Cassidy needed in his life. But thankfully by this time he had already moved out of Philly. He was living in New York, focused on getting his career back to the mainstream stage. On the other hand, Ab now had a major chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove to Cassidy that he could make it himself. He now understood that running a career took a lot of money and that became his main focus. He used to be the bully tough guy, but now he was only focused on stacking money and hustling. But he didn't have any money to start with, so he began by finessing and robbing plugs, a very dangerous game in Philly. This would eventually catch up to him, but in the meantime, this is how he got his start. He flipped his work in the streets over and over until he was dealing with some serious pape. And from there, he wanted to turn it into a whole operation. In 2009, Ab started a gang called the Original Block Hustlers, also known as OBH. OBH started as a family, as everyone who joined was already in Ab's circle. You have his brother Leek Moss, Dark Low, and Kaz, who are known as the original members. Well, right off the bat, OBH hit the streets hard, moving weight, finessing plugs, and eliminating any competition. Ab's goal was to take over Philadelphia's underground market and achieve this by any means. And after stacking enough cash, he decided to start his own music label. A label called the Original Block Hustlers, also known as OBH. Now, why would you name your label the same as your gang? But whatever. He wasn't thinking it through, but
I don't know. Like, initially I thought it would be like, okay, yeah, if people hear about us through the streets, they'd be like, yeah, those are the Original Block Hustlers. And then we could be like, oh, this is really a record label. And then use the record label as like an alibi or a cover. But I mean, if the money not right, you're cooked.
But on the bright side, the music started to pick up. He dropped back-to-back mixtapes and singles that did pretty well in the streets of Philly, but his ways of finessing plugs would eventually catch up to him. September 27th, 2010. It's another Monday afternoon in Philly and AR Ab is outside on the block getting money. At 4 p.m. he gets a call from a plug that he met a couple weeks ago. The plug tells him he has a play for him and to come pick him up and take him down to Kensington. If you're unfamiliar, Kensington is pretty much Skid Row on steroids, so you know there's money to be made. So Ab hops in his car, goes to pick up his new Connect and heads over to Kensington. During the car ride, Ab and the man get to know each other and they realize that Ab grew up with his baby mama. So they're laughing when Ab stops at a stop sign just a block away from the designated location. As he's talking, all he hears is bang. He quickly realizes he's hit up and he looks over to see if his new friend is okay. But the man had already exited the car and was nowhere to be found. So Ab quickly speeds off to the nearest hospital. While he's speeding through traffic, he calls his cousin and tells him to meet him at the emergency room. So he pulls up to the hospital parking lot and tells his cousin to come pick up his car. He then tells him to throw away his phone so his girlfriend can't see his messages. From there, he hobbles to the emergency room where thankfully they save his life. It turns out that he was hit 10 times, which is a miracle that he made it. And the craziest part is that he says his biggest concern was his girl going through his phone. This guy is something else. Wow.
Bro.
And believe it or not, the story gets even better. Once his cousin returned with his phone, he posted a picture on Twitter letting the world know that he's still alive. While recovering in the hospital, Ab gets a call from Swiss Beats. Swiss remembered him from studio sessions with Cassidy and he wanted to send him his best wishes. On top of this, he tells him that he wants to work with him and bring him together with his new artist Meek Mill.
So
Ab is
dusty
excited
back in the
as this could be huge for his career, but he's also not fully trusting his word. Regardless, on the day he's released from the hospital, he decides to give Swiss Beats a call. Surprisingly, Swiss picks up the phone and even drives to Philly the same day. And on this same night, he goes to the studio with Meek Mill and AR Ab. This just goes to show the character of Swiss Beats, a true man of his word. And even though Ab and Meek knew each other from the streets, bringing them together in the studio was a big deal. From this session, they released their first song together on November 11th, 2010.
That's crazy.
So after nearly dying, Ab's life trajectory was on the up and up. So much so that after this song, Birdman actually wanted to sign him to Cash Money. He even flew to Philadelphia and handed Ab $200,000 as a bribe to sign. However, after his experience with Cassidy, Ab had no intentions of ever signing with a label. So he said no to Birdman but kept the $200,000. In retrospect, this was an idiotic move as Ab could have been the final piece to Cash Money Records. But not only did he
Nigga said it's an idiotic move and Birdman wasn't even paying niggas. What?
fumble this opportunity, but he also kept the cash and ruined their relationship with Birdman. To some people, he was too real for the industry, but in my mind, he was just showing his dumb street ways. On the other hand, Meek Mill took the complete opposite route. Shortly after this, he signed with Rick Ross's MMG and got straight to the millions. So now, dumb street ways. On the other hand, Meek Mill took the complete.
Nigga, what the hell is wrong with his hairline right now? Hey, why is it doing that? Yo, his barber cooked him. Barber cooked him too.
Opposite route. Shortly after this, he signed with Rick Ross's MMG and got straight to the millions. So now, while AR-Ab could have easily been the face of Philly, it was now Meek Mill. So Abdul chose to keep living his life in the streets of Philadelphia. For the next couple of years, he released independent mixtapes and songs and hustled in the streets with OHB. And although it wasn't mainstream success, his songs did make waves on the East Coast. But then in 2012, things would come crashing down. Abdul lost his mother, grandmother, and was arrested in the same month. After accidentally selling to an undercover cop, his house was raided and they found all kinds of substances. This ultimately landed him a 3-year prison sentence on April 13th, 2013. And although he was always cool, calm, and collected, this right here made him panic. He had seen what a prison sentence did to Cassidy's career and he didn't want this for himself. So he pleaded for the judge to give him an opportunity to shave off some time. So in exchange for a year off his sentence, he agreed to speak at schools and do community service.
You know, we want to go talk to the kids and, you know, go to the Vision Quest, talk to the troubled youth. And I just left talking to a middle school and elementary school. You know, I cleaned a couple playgrounds up and all that. You know, we just doing everything we can, man, help the community out, man. You know, show these people now more of an asset on the streets than in jail, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got 5 days left to turn myself in. Probably gonna do a couple more songs. I did some things in my past, which, you know, I can turn back the end of time, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? You know, just caught up to me, so.
Now things were looking better. He only had to do a year and a half, plus he had a bunch of unreleased music. A couple of these songs like Riviera Riding and All I Got Is Me became East Coast hits. So when Ab was released in October of 2014, he came home to a bigger fan base than ever before. And in the summer of 2015, things would be taken to the next level for an unexpected reason. If you can remember, this is when Meek Mill dissed Drake on Twitter because he didn't promote his album. In the tweet, he said that Drake didn't write his verse on Rico and ended up posting the original track. Drake was obviously upset, so a week later he released his Meek Mill diss song called Back to Back. In the song, Drake says, "I drove here in the Wraith playing AR Ab." This was major for Ab as it led to many people looking him up on Google, but it also put him in a strange position. He just got shouted out by the biggest rapper in the world, but he also has to side with his friend Meek, right? A week later, he made an appearance on Vlad TV where he stated that Drake went harder and that he was disappointed in Meek's response.
After I heard, I'm thinking like, this can't be it. You know what I'm saying? You know, Meek come from Philly streets. I'm thinking like, you know what I mean? There was gonna be some more shit than that. You know what I mean? I was kind of, a little disappointed. You know what I'm saying? That was corny. A lot of people thought it was corny. A lot of people thought it was trash. A lot of people thought like Meek lost.
So Back to Back, you thought it was a crazy diss song.
Yeah.
When Meek saw the interview, he was pissed. Ab was just keeping it real, but in Meek's mind, he should have had its back no matter what. So the next day at his show, he yelled, "F*** AR Ab."
AR man.
Boy, you ain't never put me on tour, nigga. I don't care, nigga. Like, bro, like, let's get serious now. You talk about how they're a Philly nigga. I ain't seen your ass with a gang of Philly niggas on tour. Respectfully, Meek. Like, what?
Of course, Ab felt disrespected, and he dropped his own Back to Back just a couple days later. In the song, he says that Meek Mill is too scared to diss him on a song, and that his artist O'Malley is the softest one on Dream Chasers. And he also opens the song with this, and you guys know what he's talking about.
I caught a body for I wrote a rap. You rather hold a mic or rather hold a Mac?
After this, Meek would leave it alone, but AR Ab would milk the situation till the dawn of time. Every time he was in front of a camera, he would begin talking about it.
No, quick question. They could be the king of the radio and rap. You don't rap about all that. Fuck all that. I'm in the streets. That's where you get your love from. I run the mud, man. You better know that. The mud people. It's Meek beef, man. Like, what's up with that, man? It's not beef, man. I kill people for real. Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he physically dead? No, he's not. There ain't no beef then. You got real killers that kill.
Despite saying there's no beef, Ab would later admit that things got bloody behind closed doors.
It got bloody behind the scenes, man. You know what I'm saying? My got shot behind the scenes. They got rolled in the streets with us behind the scenes. You dig what I'm saying?
Thankfully, though, in the same interview, Ab said that he got on the phone with Meek for 4 hours to squash the beef.
After all that, we still managed to squash it though, like on the tickets. It was never me and him. We talked on the phone for like 4 hours and shit. I said, damn, like, I asked him, I said, man, did I ever disrespect you? He was like, no.
Overall, all this drama brought a ton of attention to AR Ab, especially after the Vlad interviews. And for whatever reason, he got addicted to the attention and began telling everything in all kinds of interviews. While he and his OBH gang are committing serious crimes in the streets, he began telling it all to the world. He told the world what he does, what his OBH associates do, and where you can find them. No, like I've never seen anything like this before.
We got Allegheny, we got Area, we got 18th Street, we got like from the 20th Street all the way to Broad Street. It's an epidemic. I want to start branching off on the other side. We might take a block on the other side. I might put some work out there. I'm thinking about taking Clearfield over. I'm thinking about taking Clearfield over. And I might cross. We already crossed Pike Street already, right? Oh, we already down to Butler Street. That's Pike Street. We already down to Pike Street now. So we on 20th Street. I'm thinking about going to 10th Street. We already played abroad. We thinking about going all the way to 10th Street now. We think about crossing Clearfield, because nobody gonna do nothing about it anyway. Once we get over there, I put work out there. Anybody wanna put work out there, they gonna do. They gonna call everybody's phone and cop out and ask why we doing it. I allow my man Bryce to quit rap and become a shooter.
Nah, he's bugging.
Bryce, I only wanna rap like a big rock back there. Bryce, you don't rap no more. You just wanna be a shooter, man.
Free smoke.
I ain't gonna lie, you smell blood, man. My man Brosco's first shooting was like, alright, when he caught his first shooting, he said, he put down the fucking notepad, and he said, Ab, I love the way this shit feel, I just want to shoot.
He smoke.
As you can tell, he had an obsession with telling the world what he was doing in the streets. Why he was doing this, I really can't figure it out, but if there's any psychologists in the comments, please let me know. So now let's jump into the crazy story of OBH. While Ab was at the height of his rap career, he was 100% focused on the expansion of OBH in the streets. He wanted to be the new BMF, except without hiding anything they're doing. His philosophy was that the more people that join along the better, which really wasn't smart. Instead of hiring specialists like BMF, Ab was willing to take anyone off the streets. And I mean literally anyone. You'll see what I'm talking about.
No, actually,
the first person he recruited is a truck driver named Richard Hoover, also known as Boogie. Boogie was kind of like the Milk 7-4 of the North Philly trenches. But instead of sitting on his balcony, he started a trucking company in Las Vegas called Team Transportation LLC. This is what enticed Ab. Boogie could move weight from the West Coast back to Philly. So by 2017, Boogie was working full-time for Ab, moving weight between California and Philly. This quickly became a major operation, racking in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Damn.
With all this weight, AR Ab needed somewhere to stash it. Ab purchased 4 stash houses in Philly, all under his name.
Oh boy.
But the main stash house was called the Mansion, and this is where all of the OBH members met up and discussed business. How I know this? Well, Ab took a picture in front of the house and posted it on Instagram with the caption Trap House. This dude was clearly not scared of rivals or police. But the Mansion wasn't his only spot, as he had 3 other luxury apartments located in the Philly area. For example, you have the Treaty penthouses where Ab stayed himself. All of the members were in and out of the 4 properties, moving weight on a daily basis. At any given moment, there was at least $500,000 at each property. And with all of this wealth, Ab knew that he couldn't be the only one to protect it. So that's when he recruited a new member that he knew would put in work. This would be a man named Boss Parker, also known as Skinny Me. Skinny didn't grow up with any OHB members, however his brother was cellmates with Ab in prison. So while Ab was in prison, his cellmate told him to get in touch with his brother once he was released. This is because Skinny was a talented rapper and his brother wanted him to get signed. But Ab heard about his stories in the streets and he knew that he was a certified stepper.
And that's the problem. Like, bruh, I don't know if his brother intended for him to get with Ab for that purpose. Like, I really, truly believe that his brother might have been like, nah, bro, we can get him out the streets. Let's get him in the studio. And Ab said, nah, bro, he really do this. We gonna put him in the gang. Like, anyway, that was part 1 of Rappers Dumbest Criminals. Man, AR Rap, you already serving your time, so it's nothing really to say for real. But we gonna continue this in part 2. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe, y'all.
I'm a cowboy, can't stop me, ain't to live is to conquer. All this pain got me feeling the compass. See these games turn me into a monster. Hey, I'm a cowboy, can't stop me, to live is to conquer. All this pain got me feeling the compass. See these games turn me into a monster. I'm a cowboy, can't stop, can't stop. Hey, all that pain got me feeling jaded. Many with the road when to make it. Still plugged into the mix, but lagging out before the update. Drop back in different times, same location.